what kind of internship offered the LVPA. And today we have about 160 plus interns are going through the internship at LVPA. Our biggest, the bigger goal is in the sooner or a couple of years later, we want to train about 500 interns across the network, and having pretty much from every school in India representation at our institute in the optometry program, particularly in internship. So that's the larger goal we are aiming for it, but soon we will reach that. So, but as on today, we are about 250 applications we are received, and about 160 are joining for the internship. That's a good thing. What you see a busy schedule, it's a internship schedule, kind of induction program, and I've emailed you it. If you have read that and if you've gone through the schedule, it's good. But otherwise, the next 2 days from today and tomorrow, we will take you through the induction schedule. And this induction schedule is to orient you all to the optometry internship program at LV Science Institute. And I'm confidently can say that this 2-day program will not completely orient to the internship, but this is a process to start. And as you go in the program, as you advance in the program, we will take you to the internship program. So we are there with you. But this is the 2-day program to get oriented to the initial part of the internship. Those for the first time seeing the LV Science Institute or the coming to know institute, I've got a separate lecture on it, but in short, it's a WHO or World Health Collaborating Center for the eye care, and we are a comprehensive eye care facilities. Start in Hyderabad primarily, but later on we expanded to 4 major states in the India, particularly Telangana and Andhra, and largely expanding in Odisha, a bit presence in Karnataka. And as on today, we have got 260 plus centers, and our best representation can happen through this pyramid. So this pyramid itself required one lecture, and you will have LVP pyramidal model, how the service is delivered at the LV Plus Institute. We have a guest lecture, and that will be part of the induction program. And this is the network map I was telling. So predominantly we are there in 2 Telugu states and slowly expanding in Odisha, and a bit little presence in Karnataka, and we have in West Africa, Liberia also one of the secondary center. So that's the network we have. So these are the 10 functional arms of the LVPA, and this will be covered later part of the presentation during the senior faculties engaging. And just to name the core functions, the clinical care and education, combining these two, you are here for the internship. And the rest of the functions, you will be exposed to the part of the internship. And as you go through the clinical rotations, you will be exposed to these areas. And we have one guest lecture on the core functions of the 10 functional arms that will be described later. So without much delay, let's get started for the today's induction, and we would like to have the welcome address by Dr. Avinash Patangi, Network Director for Education. He is associated with the LVPA since 2001, and the primarily responsible setting up the video retinal service at our Vizag campus in GMRV. Post is ophthalmology residency from Madras Medical College. He had the video retinal fellowship from Shankar Nethralaya, and the one more fellowship from Bascom Palmer Eye Institute, Florida, USA. And to his credit, he has got over 150 plus publications and 9 book chapters, and his specialization in the infectious retinal diseases. And he is also co-founder of the RetNet India Foundation, which it's a society for the video retinal surgeons practicing in India. Apart from that, is very passionate and I would say the radical thinker for the education, and under his leadership over the last 5 years, the significant transformation of the education at LVPA, particularly for the ophthalmology and optometry. And I'm just showing the testaments of the few, but if I have to list, there's endless. The one what you're seeing on the slide, attention to retention and you and I unplugging the education. So these are the concepts where he is trying to transform the ophthalmology education in India. When it comes to the optometry, the one of the slide what you're seeing, the JAM just a minute clinical pearl, and this was also very popular among the ophthalmology circles, and the last year we were able to do it for the optometry group, and one slide which I'm showing it. And as in the program you are going through it, and you will be exposed to these kind of things in the program. And towards your right side, you are seeing the class 2 clinics. This is again one of the, I would say, brainchild of Dr. Avinash thought. This is one of the longest optometry case series webinar, and it's still going on. And you will be engaging in part of these class 2 clinics discussions. And primarily this class 2 clinics is delivered by the optometry interns, and currently your seniors are doing it. And once you go through this process, you will be part of this class 2 clinics. Dr. Avinash is supposed to do this session from Vizag, and I'm showing the beautiful campus of Vizag. And in free time, you will see him in the garden. So the guys who are participating in this induction from the Vizag campus will know and how the beautiful campus is there and full of greenery. And without much delay, I'll invite Dr. Avinash to address the interns, and particularly focusing on lifelong learning in the optometry program, with a particular emphasis on the optometry internship. So give me a second, I'll just hand over this mic to Dr. Avinash.
Yeah. So on behalf of LV Prasad Institute, I would like to welcome all the 160 of you who have come from different parts of the country. And I would also like to thank Vijay for his kind words of appreciation. Now, before what I would like to consider as a welcome address, it will not be a sort of a welcome address because you've all been a part of a learning experience for good 2 decades now. Now, being in healthcare, you have to understand that, or you have to imagine that you represent the top 1% of 1.4 billion people, right? So there is a need, or there is something which you have to accomplish, which is a part of your profession, because you're part of eye health, and eye health is a gamut of, in larger sense, the healthcare sector. Now, that's the responsibility all of you have. So having spoken about responsibility, I would ask you a question which had intrigued me a couple of years before. Illiteracy among the literate people. How many of you have heard about it? Illiteracy among the literate. Can anyone relate to it? Illiteracy among the literate. It's a very contradictory statement, very controversial statement, very debatable statement. So for the first time, when there was a discussion amongst 4 different groups of people, and we're discussing about what causes illiteracy among literate people. Now, one of the important factors which came into the discussion was the learning experience. And learning is something which is very important. And that's why learning is a lifelong process. We have started learning right from a kindergarten days until our last breath, we keep learning. It's a very progressive evolutionary condition. But how well we utilize this learning is something which we have to harness it completely. Now, having said that, let's get back to the primary question, that illiteracy among the literate. How's that this happens in spite of having a formal education? So all of you had a formal education. I had a formal education. But there is something which is still lacking where people can make this bold comment: illiteracy among the literate. So sometimes for a person who has spent good 5 to 10 years of professional enhancement in a formal educational setup, it can sound extremely rude. But to be humble and then understand this so that we can make those strides, we can make those changes in life. So let's take some understanding about it. And I would like to share with you what went on in a discussion. So there is a mindset or a behavioral change which is required. Now, what is that behavioral change which is required? Or what is that mindset which is required? Now, how many times have we come across in our lives, right? You have to start, your mind has to start creating the scene or imagine a scene which some of your tutors would have told to you that when you pick up this book, you have to read before exam at least 100 or 150 times. If you read this book, surely you'll pass the exam. 100, 150 times, cover to cover, keep reading it. So now this entire sentence, 150 times, keep reading the book. When you consciously look at it or hear the sentence out, you'll be able to see read, right? You just keep this sentence in your mind 150 times, you keep reading, you'll be able to pass the exams. Now let's create another scenario which all of us would have experienced. Day in and out, like this, you'd have heard hundreds of lectures, right? So you would have listened to hundreds of lectures. How many of those lectures which you have listened has transformed itself into a learning experience, right? So I'm dissecting the learning into two aspects here. One is reading for learning, and second is when you are listening to learn. Now, reading is just a fundamental way of starting to consume the knowledge, but that's not learning in totality, right? You just start acquiring. It's just like a data feed. Your eyes are able to grasp what is there in the book, and it is able to feed it into the brain. So similarly, when you're listening, listening is just a doorway of an important content entering into the brain. So eye is also another doorway. So your ear is also another doorway. Now you're able to understand listening alone would not reciprocate to learning. Reading alone would not reciprocate to learn. And that's how, if you can understand that if both of them does not reciprocate to learning, what have we done till now? The big question which I'm going to ask is, all through our formal education, we were told that reading is the best way to learn. Listening to the class is the best way to learn. Right? It's a starting point, but it is not even the midway to it. So certainly it is not going to be the end. You only started gaining, or you provided a doorway of the content entering into the brain. It's like you have friends coming into your house, you open the door, the friends come into the house. But that is not the end of it. What is important is, what is that experience you're providing to the friend after they've entered the house, or your relatives who entered the house. That's a defining moment and situation. So also when this content has entered your brain, what sort of experience you're going to provide to that content is what defines a learner from a listener and a reader from a learner. So hope I was able to understand two very simple concepts in learning. And learning is as vast as an ocean. So there are a lot of things one can learn. So I was just discussing about visual learners, then oral learners through hearing, kinesthetic learners. When you keep performing the same task again and again, you keep doing retinoscopy again and again, you get better. So sometimes there is a combination, and there is a concept known as macro learning, micro learning. When you have to learn a concept, it is a macro learning. When you want to hear or learn a finer aspect of it, a facts concept, you have to use a macro learning strategy. When you have to learn facts, you have to learn through micro learning strategies. And that's what happened when we started using just a minute clinical pearls or optometry pearls as well. So that's our micro learning, where you'll give you facts so that you'll be able to relate to it better. And there are many ways by which learning can get enhanced. So even now, as and when I'm talking to you, the type of you're listening to me, right? So this is known as passive learning strategies. This comes under the realm of passive learning. It is not a very effective way of learning. Not an effective way of learning. So having said about passive learning strategies, which is usually when you hear the same old lecture again and again, through passive learning, it has its own disadvantages. The major disadvantage is it does not make you a lifelong learner because you don't engage yourself. The student does not engage themselves in that learning atmosphere. It is one way. It is a person, it's like the sage on the stage, right? The sage on the stage type of experience. A person keeps on talking like the way I'm doing, and all of you would keep hearing, and you think that you have attended a class and you have learned something. No, you only heard something. How much of you have really learned? It's very hard to comprehend. So when you guys have come into the system, all the 160 of you, our primary aim is to give you a fantastic learning experience. So how are we going to give this learning experience? So from your batch onwards, we are going to make a very conscious shift from passive learning to active learning strategies. So you will see that eventually it happens that, whatever you learn, you'll get a lot of active learning strategies, so that by the end of the course, you'll feel that you have learned a lot of aspects in optometry, which you would be able to retain it and use it in all your future professional endeavors. So it will take some time for a person to adapt to active learning strategies, but it will be fun. All through our life, we have got exposed to only passive learning strategies. Now a shift from passive to active will take certain time, but it will eventually happen, and you would all be in a situation after 4 or 6 months that you have not only understood concepts, but you could also retain facts. Right? So I just spoke to you about how important you are in this community in the country, because you represent 1% of Indian population. I also mentioned about illiteracy among the literate, and also said about two important learning experience which we already have. One is by reading, other is through listening. So both are just gateways of knowledge information, or information getting into the brain. But what we do with it is something which is most important. So but just by reading, you don't become a learner, or just by listening, you don't become a learner. And also briefly touched upon different types of learning. So spoke about visual learners, oral learners, kinesthetic learners. And I also told you about few things about macro learning, which is important for concepts, micro learning, which is important for facts. And at the end, before I finish, I would like to reiterate that the experience, what we are going to provide to you, would be a shift from passive learning to active learning for one important cause, that you, all of you, all the 160 of you, become a lifelong learner. And why is it important to become a lifelong learner? Because learning is development, learning is growth, and learning is progress. So with that, I would conclude my talk, and then I would call Vijay to take over from here. Thank you very much. Have a very memorable experience.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Avinash, for the welcome address and the setting up the goal for the lifelong learning at the internship and particularly in the optometry program. Guys, give me 1 second. Let's get started with the second welcome address for this induction. And for delivering this welcome address, I'll invite Dr. Shrikant Bharadwaj, Network Associate Director for Optometry and the Brandwell Institute of Optometry and Vision Sciences at the LUP Science Institute. Dr. Shrikant Bharadwaj, after his graduation from the Elite School of Optometry Shankar Netral in Chennai, so he went on to pursue his PhD from University of California, and later he did his postdoc from Indiana University in US. He returned to India as a DBT Ramalinga Swamy Fellow in 2009 to set up the Visual Optics Lab at the Institute, and his lab actively pursues how the binocular functions and the optics works together. And to his credit, over 50 plus publications are there in peer-reviewed journals, and he also contributed to the various book chapters related to the optics and adaptive optics. And he also actively teaches at the school, and particularly is interested in the binocular vision and the orthoptics. And at both the national and the global level, he promotes and advocates the optometry. And he's also the recently appointed as the workforce member for the team member working on refractive errors with the World Health Organization. And he has been strongest pillar for the significant changes happened in the optometry program over the years. And you will see on the campus across the network these changes, and it's all credit goes to Dr. Shrikant Bharadwaj. And you'll also, whatever the changes today in the internship, way back when we started, we did not have this kind of formal induction, so we used to admit the students, send them to the clinics right away, to the not having preclinical training. So the lot more changes, whatever happened in the program is the credit goes to Dr. Shrikant Bharadwaj. And with this short intro, I'll welcome Dr. Shrikant Bharadwaj to address the students, particularly on the value-based education at the Institute. So Shrikant, over to you.
Okay, morning, guys. Am I audible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic.
Yes, sir.
I still see some of you without your videos on. Can I ask all of you to turn it on, please? Nisat, Sabnam, Muna, Arunima Adhikari, Biswa, sorry, I'm just sifting through your names so I can at least get a little bit familiarized with all of you. Imran Khan, Insha Majid, can you all please turn on your videos, please?
She's sleeping.
All right. So, well, morning, everybody, and welcome to the LV Prasad Eye Institute formally. And even though we are sort of over Corona for the most part, we are still not completely out of it yet, right? So that's why I'm having to do the induction for you guys through the Zoom. Otherwise, this would have been a physical meeting, and I would have loved to do that physically, meet up with all of you guys and stuff. So, but there will be an opportunity for me to do that. In fact, for those of you who are in the BLSO campus meant to start out your training at Hyderabad, I will meet up with you guys after my session is over. So ahead of time, I just wanted to let you know that there is tea arranged for all of you guys in the canteen. So do walk down from your rooms to the canteen, and then we can have an informal chat there. So like Vijay said, I am the Network Associate Director for Optometry, and I have I am responsible for education, research, and patient care related to the optometry services. So you and I will interact on all of these fronts as we move along in our internship program. I would love to interact with you guys on several academic fronts, intellectual fronts. You're welcome to come and talk to me about any scientific questions that you have, any challenges that you are facing related to understanding of topics, other kinds of logistics issues and things like that in your internship. I'll be very, very happy to address that for all of you guys. There are also some unfortunate situations where you will have to come and meet me in terms of you not being very punctual to your training program not going well, you're throwing around an attitude that needs to be fixed. I hope those instances are very minimal, and I hope not to have an unpleasant conversation with all of you, right? But history, as it were to stand, instances of that nature has also happened. So I will not be surprised if I am having to have those conversations with some of you as well. But let's keep that to a minimum. And today, specifically what Vijay has asked me to talk about is about value-based training. And in that context, I do want to introduce the value systems of the institute to all of you. And are you guys able to see my slides?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay.
Yes,
So what you see in front of you on the screen is a pentagon, which describes about 5 values of the institute, right? These are patient first, excellence, equity, integrity, and togetherness. What we will do for the next maybe 10-15 minutes is to go over these values, what these values mean, how do we as trainers will uphold these values for you, and what is expected to you as trainees in terms of how you will uphold these values as well. And we will also talk instances where these values may actually be at loggerheads with each other, and how do you sort of optimize those, and how do you ensure that at no point of time these values are getting compromised in your training program, right? Now, I'm sure that as we move along in your internship training in the next 12 months or so, you will get enough of technical competency. By the time you finish up, you will be fantastic clinicians. You will have all the know-how to do a proper workup of a patient, identify many different kinds of diseases, and also get a glimpse of how to do contact lens fitting, low vision assessment, pediatric assessment. A whole range of technical stuff is what you will get exposed to. But as far as I am concerned, guys, in addition to all the technical stuff that you are learning, have you imbibed the values of the institute? Have those become part of your DNA is what I am concerned about. Because it is these values that will define you as a clinician. This is what will define you as a professional optometrist going forward, no matter where you are in your professional career, no matter what you practice in your professional career. If you are a clinician seeing patients day in and day out, or if you are an educator teaching students, or if you are a scientist dealing with scientific questions, or a public health specialist, no matter what you do with your profession, these value systems are going to form the root of all of that. They are going to be the basis on which you are going to function. So as much as technical knowledge is important, these values, imbibing these values, upholding them becomes the critical piece. So let's start with these values in no order of importance. We will start with patient first value. Now, what does the patient first value says? It says we hold the needs and well-being of patients as our top priority. We being here is LVP, right? At LVP, we will hold the needs and the well-being of our patients as the top priority. So one thing before we get into the details of these values, I want to say is, by getting inducted into the internship program at the LV Prasad Eye Institute, you have become part of our V, right? You and I have now become the same. You and I share a common identity. The common identity is that of an LVPIN. You come from any place in this world, any place in India, and in fact, our trainees do span almost every state in India, every little corner of India. Doesn't matter where you come from, what socio-economic background you come from, what religious beliefs you carry, what sort of backgrounds, social backgrounds that you come from. I really do not care about that. The only identity that I will care about is you are an LVPIN. That is my only identity when I am in the institute, right? So in that sense, you and I are exactly the same, and you and I will therefore share these common values. So when I say we will hold the needs and well-being of our patients as the top priority, it includes you and it includes me also, right? Now, what does this mean? Every time a patient comes to the institute, it is the patient that is the top priority amongst everything else that is there. Their needs, their well-being, their safety is going to be our top priority. Even if it means that we are going to go a little bit out of the way, push ourselves a little bit, make ourselves a little uncomfortable in that process, that's okay. We will do that, and we only to ensure that our patients are happy, our patients are leaving the institute satisfied with the kind of care that they have obtained from us. As an optometrist or as an optometry trainee, remember that when you see a patient, you are representing the LV Prasad Eye Institute. Your individual name, your individual identity of, say, Purushottam Jana or Arunima Adhikari or Krupakar doesn't matter anymore. To the patient coming to the institute, you are a trainee at the LV Prasad Eye Institute, and they are going to judge you based on that identity. So how you function with the patient makes a whole load of difference to what the patient is going to take back with them. If they are going to go back with a positive experience about the institute, you have contributed immensely to that positive experience. If they are going to go back with a lousy experience of the institute, I'm sorry, you have contributed to that lousy experience also, right? So when a patient leaves our institute, 95% of patients should leave satisfied. And that's what the patient first value indicates. 95% of the patients coming to our institute should have had a positive experience, should have been treated nicely by our clinicians, should have been treated nicely by our doctors, our optometrists, our housekeeping staff, our front desk people, doesn't matter who it is. That's the kind of experience that we want to provide to our patient. not every patient can be treated successfully. That's not what I'm saying. We will give our best to treat our patients, but there are instances where we may not be able to restore their vision. We may not be able to give them back their vision that they experienced before the onset of their disease condition. But we have tried our 100%, right? For those who are irreparably blind, we have our rehabilitation services. We will give them the best in that rehabilitation services, right? So whatever we do, we are going to do this in the best interest of the patient. Where this is important, guys, is across the LV Prasada Institute. The tertiary centers, the center of excellence, our secondary centers, our primary centers, all put together, we are about 220 centers. Vijay would have spoken to you guys about this, right? We are 220 centers spread across 4 states in our country and across several districts within these states. Across all of these centers, mind you guys, we see about 5,000 patients every day. And we do close to about 300 to 400 surgeries every day. Now, every one of these patients, one way or the other, is going to see an optometrist, is going to see an ophthalmic technician, is also going to see an ophthalmologist. So the value of patient first is extremely important, because you are now talking about 95% of these 5,000 patients going back happy. And that completely rests in your hand and in the way you actually manage with them. Operationally, what it will work out to is, if you on an average as an optometry trainee, you guys will be seeing anywhere between 17 to about 20 cases every day. And this is a reasonable number to actually see throughout the day. Your last patient typically will get checked in around 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the evening. But it may so happen that there may be a cross that may come from one department to another, and the patient may need your attention at 6:30 in the evening. You should be there for them. You are there because you are representing the LV Prasada Institute. Patient first is the value that you uphold, and you will be there to make sure that their well-being is taken care of. You cannot be telling us, no, my duty timing is over, my 5:30, my duty gets over, I am picking my bag and going away. That is not patient first value. The patient first value is the last patient in the OPD until the time they leave, I am going to be there giving them my best support. That's what patient first value means. By the way, you guys, you are welcome to stop me at any point of time. Just raise your hand and ask me a question. I'm very happy to stop and then answer any of your questions as we move along as well. So any questions so far on any of what I spoke? I don't know how to interpret silence.
No, sir.
Okay, that's it. All right. Okay, so we'll keep going, but you are welcome to just stop me and then ask me questions. All right. So let me take a slight modification of the patient first value and call this as stakeholder first. Okay. In business parlance, guys, a stakeholder is a person whom we are actually working for. A customer, if you are working for a corporate sector, is your stakeholder. If you're working for an IT company, the person for whom you are developing the software solution is your stakeholder. At LVP, we have multiple stakeholders. Patient is our primary stakeholder, right? Another important stakeholder for me are students, all of you guys, right? Now I am talking to you as an educator, telling you that the same value of stakeholder first will apply there also. As an educator, I will give you my 100%. I will put your needs, your interests as my top priority in my training program. I will keep your interests ahead of my own in your training program. What does that mean? if I have two competing responsibilities, if there is a personal responsibility of mine, and if there is a responsibility of teaching you guys that I have already committed to, I will prioritize the teaching responsibility. No matter what, none of my faculty members or myself, we will cancel any of your classes, minimize rescheduling of your classes, ensure that your training goes on as per the schedule without any kind of amendment. As faculty members, we will also ensure that you are getting nothing but the top quality of training through this process of 12 to 13 months. Vijay spoke to you guys earlier about how our internship has been increasing in numbers over the years, right? There were times when we used to have only 20, 30 interns, and now we have about 250 applications, of which about 160 of you have been inducted into the program. Now, these numbers are reflective of the fact that you as trainees trust our training process. You as trainees come to us trusting that we will be able to improve your skills, improve your knowledge, and make you guys into valuable optometrists for the country. It is my responsibility to do that. And over the next 12 months, I will ensure that me and my team members are actually offering you that kind of training for you to actually become better. And why am I doing this? Am I doing this completely out of altruism? I'm not. I'm actually doing it for two primary reasons. One, I want the profession of optometry to become better in my country. I want the future generation of optometrists to be much better than how we were when I graduated from optometry school 22 years ago. The profession has to move forward, and the only way the profession will move forward is by improving the quality of the training. So when you guys graduate from the optometry program, if you know 10 times more than what your seniors did, then I think we have achieved our goal of giving you guys good quality training. And that's what my aspirational goal is going to be. Secondly, I want optometrists for my ever expanding network. Majority of the staff optometrists in my team currently were interns at some point of time in my training program. I have only groomed them, right? And therefore, I will groom them in the best possible way, so that the best quality of optometrists work for L.V. Prasad Eye Institute. So I have the nation's interest, I have the institute's interest, and I also have the profession's interest in mind when I say you guys are my primary stakeholders. What is expected in return from you guys is 100% commitment. When as faculty members, we are providing you 100% commitment in training, we expect 100% return on that commitment in terms of what you learn from us. You are here to learn, you are paid a tuition fees to come and learn, and it is your responsibility to learn, right? And if you demonstrate that during your daily clinical courses, in your daily morning classes, in every patient that you see, you have fulfilled the need of the training program. So that's all that is required out of you. Ask us questions whenever it is required. Keep pushing us to teach you more. That's all that is required, and we will push ourselves to give you guys the best. So be it patient first value or be it the stakeholder first value, that's a key value that we will uphold during our training program. Any questions on any of this?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, is anything making sense? Or is everything making sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Nisat, can we get to see you? You're only speaking without your video on. Okay, thank you.
Sir, my video is on.
Okay, all right. Okay, so we will move on from the patient first value to the excellence value. The excellence value says we follow the highest standards in all that we do. Fairly straightforward, right? Anything that we take up at the LV Prasad Institute, it is only going to be the best and nothing but the best. That's our aspirational goal, right? We will not do anything just for the heck of doing things. Just because 10 other people are doing this, we also will not do it. We are doing it because we see value in doing it. We have the capability to do it. We are committed to doing it, and therefore we are doing it, right? And the same thing is expected out of you guys also in your training program. We expect excellent quality of reception for the teaching that we do. We expect excellent quality of patient care from you guys, fully committed, 100% commitment in your patient care is what we expect out of you guys. Now we fully understand that you are in a training program and you are here to learn, and you will not know many things, which is why you are here, right? If you already knew everything, then you will not be a trainee here. So we fully understand that, but what we want to know is what all areas do you require additional training? If you tell us that, then we can offer that kind of excellence in training to you guys. If you remain silent, you're making a fool of yourself and you're making a fool of me also. Because I will not know what to teach you, you will not know what to learn, and we both remain idiots at the end of the day. So in order for you to have excellent training and excellent teaching, you will need to openly come and tell us, I do not know this. I do know this. I want to have additional training in this. I already know this. So focus on something else. That sort of feedback is what is required from us. Okay. And I trust that you guys will tell us as we move along in our training program. So excellence in terms of patient care, excellence in terms of education, excellence in terms of research, excellent in terms of your professional skills when it comes to managing, when it comes to dealing with patients, excellence in terms of your dressing and your professional look is all what we expect out of you in this training program. The third value is equity. Yeah. Anor, you are speaking anything? Okay, can we get to see you? You're in train, okay? You have still not reached. Which? Okay, so the third value, guys, that we will move with respect regardless of their background. We treat all with respect regardless of their background, right? Now, this is going back to what I described earlier as what LVP means to all of us, right? I said the only identity that you will have once you come into the institute is that of an LVPIN. Your background of where you come from, what religion, religious belief you come from, what socioeconomic status you belong to, what language you speak, what gender you are, what kind of dressing you go through, none of that matters to me at all. I'm not interested in this, and neither do I have the bandwidth to keep these things in mind. The only thing that I am concerned about is if fellow LVPIN are they up to speed or not, right? My fellow family member, are they doing well? Do they need my assistance? Do they need my support in getting better? Is all that I am going to care about. Equity at the institute, we practice very much in terms of our patient care as well. So if you guys know the statistics already or not, but 35% of our patients, guys, OPD patients, are treated for free, no matter what their condition is. Close to 52% of all surgeries are done for free. Again, no matter how complicated the surgery is. That is the commitment that the institute has towards equity. There can be no reason the institute will turn away a patient because they belong to a certain caste, they belong to a certain religion, they cannot pay, they have come dressed this way, they belong to this society, that society, nothing at all. You have come here because you have an eye problem. We will treat you no matter what. That's what equity means in patient care. At the Hyderabad campus, we have seen presidents of the country come over and get treated. We have seen Nobel laureates come here and get treated. We have also treated homeless people. We have also treated people who are on the streets who cannot afford a single square meal. And we have treated them with exactly the same level of respect, with exactly the same level of dignity. Human dignity. Ila Ranjan, can you turn off your mic, please? Ranjan, I am assuming you are traveling as well. All right. So we have treated presidents of countries, we have treated homeless people in the street with exactly the same level of dignity and with exactly the same level of, with the same quality of care. That's exactly what is expected out of you guys also. In that 17 to 20 patients that I was telling you about that you will see every day, you will see this spread coming in. You will see people of all kinds of backgrounds coming to you, all kinds of religious beliefs, all kinds of financial backgrounds. And to you, it shouldn't matter at all. To you, the focus is going to be, they have come here with an eye problem, I'm going to treat their eye problem. That will be the focus of everybody else in this institute also, right? And that's how we will try and keep equity in place as far as training of students are concerned, and also training and also management of patient is concerned. I want to recall a story that had happened with our chairman emeritus, Dr. G.N. Rao, who started this institute several years ago. This happened about 25, perhaps even 30 years ago, when the institute was much smaller than what it is. There was a local politician who walked to the institute and he was extremely annoyed about the quality of care that was given to him. And the news reached Dr. Rao, who came down to meet up with him and asked him what was wrong in the way your treatment had happened. He said, no, there was nothing wrong in the way the treatment happened. It's just that I am so-and-so MLA. I expected a red carpet treatment for me. I expected people to weigh hand and foot on me, but nothing of that sort happened. I was made to sit right next to a common man. That is not expected. After all, I am an MLA, I am a politician, I expect to be treated better. Now, the response of Dr. Rao astounded that man. And he said, you know, the red carpet is there for every single patient that walks into this clinic. You did not see the red carpet. That is not my problem. That is your problem. Right? And that's exactly how we continue to treat all our patients, all our trainees who come in. Every single one of you has the same level of authority over the institute as anyone else's. Whether you see it or not is where the issue is. Many of our trainees feel entitled that they will have to do the best, and they continue to do the best. There are other sets of trainees who feel victimized at every small thing that happens. Arey, isne ye bol diya, usne wo bol diya, aisa kaise ho sakta hai mere saath? It is your outlook, guys. We are here with a single-minded goal of giving you guys the best possible training, and that's where it ends. right? So keep that in mind when you guys are managing your patients, when you guys are being students at our institute. And I also want to point out one thing. Equity doesn't only mean of how you guys treat patients or how we treat you as students. Equity also means how you guys treat each other, right? All of you guys have come from many, many different parts of the country. Just 2 days ago, I was in our Vijayawada campus, just meeting with the trainees and the other staff and things there. And it became very, very clear that amongst the 15 trainees that are currently there, they are pretty much from every part of the country. I saw trainees from Bihar, I saw trainees from Kerala, I saw trainees from Andhra area, Bengalis, Gujaratis, everybody that is there, right? And you can imagine the heterogeneity of thought process that will be there. Truly, training at the LV Prasad Eye Institute is a melting point of cultures, right? That means that there will be many, many instances where you will actually come to loggerheads with other trainees. Your value systems and their value systems may not be matching. The way you are brought up and the way another trainee is brought up may not be the same. The affluence with which you have been brought up, your parents have cared for you, could be different from the affluence that some other trainee has had. You are expected to treat everybody with respect, right? We do not differentiate across genders. To us, the safety of our trainees is of utmost importance. Okay. Atikur Rahman, can I have you focus on my presentation, please? You can talk to others later. So I want to be very, very clear that the safety of our women employees, our women trainees is of utmost importance to us. Everybody is expected to maintain that level of dignity, and no form of harassment will be accepted in this institute. Harassment, either in the form of a physical harassment, sexual harassment, emotional harassment, verbal harassment, no form of harassment will be tolerated. We have 2-3 committees in the institute that will, whenever they find a case of any such thing, they are expected to take an action within 24 hours. And if the person is found guilty, then that will be the last day for them at our institute. This doesn't matter whether they are in the highest echelons of our institute or they are in the lowest cadres of our institute. Doesn't matter. The same rules apply. Nobody is entitled to harass another person in the institute. So for all you women folks around, feel safe, feel absolutely safe that there are systems in place to protect your well-being. And at the same time, I also want to point out that you don't want to put false allegations against another person, right? The committee that is going to take care of these sorts of issues will weigh both options equally. And there are instances where truly harassment has happened and people have been removed from the institute. There has also been instances where false allegations have been made, and that has also resulted in termination, right? So I hope that these sorts of issues will never come to forefront in this cohort of trainees. But if they do happen, then you will have to face the tunes from the institute side. Okay, many a times it will result in termination, and you will have to pack your bags and leave the institute right away. So best thing is learn tolerance, learn how to respect each other, learn that people can come from different backgrounds with different value systems, and you will have to respect that. And that's how you will show equity amongst all of your peers in the institute. Okay. Any questions to any of this? Okay.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. We are left with two additional values, guys. The value is integrity and togetherness. Togetherness is similar to equity, right? And I already sort of belabored on that quite a bit. Togetherness essentially is we are all in it. We are all in it together so that our patients may see well. The tagline of the institute is so that all may see, right? So we are working with a single-minded focus that we are here to offer the best quality of care to our patients. In that, it doesn't matter whether you are an optometrist or an ophthalmologist or a nursing staff or a front desk person or a housekeeping lady or a rehabilitation specialist, security guard, scientist, doesn't matter. Every one of